I think I've been very blessed that the profession that I've chosen, or the vocation, if I may call it, as human resources, H and R, right? These two alphabets are also there in my name. So if you actually look at Sahil, it has H, and if you look at Nayyar, it has R. And on all platforms, I keep my name written in such a manner that H and R are in capital and everything else is small, right? Just for HR to stand out. And I think I'm so blessed. कभी कभी आप सुनते हो बहुत सारे एक्टर्स ऐसे बोलते हैं कि मैंने ये चूज नहीं किया, ये प्रोफेशन ने मुझे चूज किया,
Even
या आई
I
डिडंट चूज.
remember the lines by Van Dyer, what he said pertaining to the perspective. He said, the way you look at things, the things you look at change. प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं। साहिल जी, एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है कि नाउ यू आर provoking lot of thoughts in me, right? And I am going through this journey along with you. I am actually holding your finger, and wherever you are taking, and I keep on learning during this journey. ये बताइए कि ये जो प्रॉब्लम है, प्रॉब्लम मीन्स, व्हेन आई से प्रॉब्लम मीन्स मेनी एचआर लीडर्स, व्हेन आई से एचआर लीडर्स मीन्स द हेड्स ऑफ एचआर, the CHRO and the vice president HR, and these people, those who have the bigger responsibility, they are always, trying to fulfill the requirement of the business. And in this the always saying, keep on saying yes boss, yes boss, yes boss, they actually forget that their job is to advise them. Their job is to give them sometime the prescription also. And somehow what you said is, they people really afraid of telling the truth. Right. So one thing we really understood, that you should really aware about the what is the business going on there. But looking into that interpersonal thing, with the senior leaders and the business, the management people and the board meetings which are happening there, a lot of, tension is already there. Business crunching numbers are already there. They afraid a lot. How to break this monotonous kind of, the mindset? And I really understood, you said that the one side you need to keep your resignation in the pocket, another side you should be an order taker. But how to break this monotony, the kind of mindset of the people, which is I think the biggest problem with the in the minds of many leaders.
Sure. So पंकज जी, मैं तो आपको लगेगा छोटा इंसान, बड़ी बात हो गई, बट मैं कोशिश करता हूँ. आई एम स्टिल नॉट अ लीडर, आई एम अ लीडर इन द मेकिंग. Of course, I've been lucky to win a couple of awards for my work as a young HR leader, but I still believe I'm a leader in the making. There is a huge difference between arriving and arrived. You know, अगर आप अपने मन को बताओ कि आई एम स्टिल अराइविंग, आप सीखते रहोगे. बट अगर आपको लगेगा मैं अराइव हो गया हूं, आई हैव अराइव्ड, देन यू विल थिंक दिस इज द अल्टीमेट, राइट? एंड देयरफॉर इवन इफ यू हैव अराइव्ड इन लाइफ, आप एक CHRO बन गए हो, आपके 3 करोड़ की सैलरी है, आपका आलीशान घर है, फिर भी आपको ये लगना चाहिए कि यू आर स्टिल अराइविंग, विच इज अ स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. नाउ द आयरनी इज, we have seen this with a lot of leaders. When their compensation exceeds their capability, something happens to their confidence. I'll repeat one more time. ये तीनों C का मामला है. All are with C. When their confidence gets impacted. When does confidence get impacted? When their compensation is higher than their capability. अभी आप ये सोचिए, फर्स्ट C is compensation, second C is capability, and third C is confidence. अब अगर मुझे ही लग रहा है कि यू नो व्हाट, आई थिंक आई एम ओवरपेड यार, बिकॉज आप दुनिया को तो बोलोगे हाँ यार ठीक चल रही है नौकरी, पैसे कम है, वैसी जिंदगी चल रही है, अभी कोविड के बाद तो सब स्लो हो गया है, प्रेशर बहुत ज्यादा है, आप ये दुनिया को नैरेटिव दे रहे हो. बट आपके मन में आपको पता है यार मुझे तो 4 करोड़ रुपए मिल रहे हैं. Am I delivering value worth 4 crores? Question number one. Question number two. If I have to leave this organization and start something on my own tomorrow, will I be able to make 4 crores? और अगर उसका जवाब ना है, then it is a very scary situation. Because then you are eating into the organization brand. The organization is not eating into your capability. और ये फर्क समझना बहुत जरूरी है. Many a times we see leaders over a period of time, and again, pardon me, I am generalizing, there are many exceptions, but many a times we see leaders over a period of time who become aggregators. बहुत बड़ी टीम हो जाती है, 50 लोग, 60 लोग, 70 लोग, 80 लोग, 200 लोग, 500 लोग की आपकी टीम है. तो आपका काम सिर्फ ये बन जाता है, रिप्लाई करो अप्रूव्ड, फॉरवर्ड करो प्लीज लुक इनटू दिस. आप एक एग्रीगेटर बन गए हो. आर यू अ रोल मॉडल? आर यू एबल टू गिव योर टीम ideas that they cannot think of? Where they go and hit a roadblock, are you able to open doors for them? If they get stuck and not able to meet their targets, and they're not able to meet their targets, are you able to suddenly, with your experience, your expertise, your network, are you able to help them bridge their gap and meet their targets? And let them take credit for it because you're supported from behind. If you are not, तो फिर ये मेरे को लगता है यू आर लिविंग ऑन योर पास्ट लॉरेल्स. आपने जिंदगी में बहुत कुछ सक्सेस कमाया होगा, बट अभी आप 2 3 5 साल 10 साल से आप उसी पे जी रहे हो. आप नया कुछ नहीं कर रहे, आप नया टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं सीख रहे, राइट? So the first point I want to make is the 3C framework of realizing, is your confidence in the positive or the negative as a relationship between your compensation and your capability. If I'm in the positive, I will not have fear because I know that यहाँ नहीं तो 4 लोग और हैं जो मेरे को 4 करोड़ से ज्यादा देने को तैयार हैं. There is a market that is waiting for me. If my capability is lesser than my compensation, my confidence will always be low, and therefore I will have the fear कि पंकज जी तो मेरे बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स हैं, सीईओ हैं, अब मैं उनको ये बोल दूं, भले ही ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए अच्छा हो, बट पंकज जी बुरा मान गए तो. What if the organization comes after me? What if I become the target? तो यार पैसे मिल रहे हैं ना, घर चल रहा है, ईएमआई पे हो रहे हैं, चुप रहो. एक चुप 100 सुख, हमने सबने बचपन से सुना होगा है, ठीक है? So that is one end of the spectrum. The second is you see a lot of people who have very average capability in terms of their work. Technically वो काफी average हैं, but what they are excellent at is managing office dynamics, managing egos of leaders, मैनेजिंग टाइमिंग, कौन सी बात कहाँ कहनी है, कब कहनी है, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से वो सीख लिया है. सामने वाले को आपको फीडबैक देना भी है और सामने वाले को बुरा भी नहीं लगना है. सीनियर से आपको काम भी निकलवाना है, आपको आता नहीं है, सीनियर ने आपको काम दिया है, बट प्यार मोहब्बत से आप उनसे ही काम करवा लेते हो और उनको लगता है कि नहीं 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 यार, मैं तो, मेरा काम बनता है कि मैं अपने जूनियर को हेल्प करूं. अब ये सर एक कला है, और बहुत लोग आजकल ऑनलाइन ढूंढ रहे हैं कि इस पे एक सर्टिफिकेशन कोर्स मिल जाए, बट नहीं मिलता. ये बहुत लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हाउ डू आई बिल्ड एन अमेजिंग रिलेशनशिप विद माय बॉस. ठीक है, नहीं मिलता है ऐसे कोर्स. ये आपका, जैसे आपने कहा, दिस इज कॉल्ड केमिस्ट्री. आर यू एबल टू बिल्ड दैट केमिस्ट्री विद पीपल टू गेट योर वर्क डन, टू बिकम पॉपुलर? कोई हम देखते हैं नए नए बॉस आते हैं, बहुत जल्दी वो कहते हैं यार ये तो इनका इतना नया बॉस आया है, हम 5 लोग हैं, बट ये एक बंदा या ये एक बंदी बहुत क्लोज हो गया बॉस से. बॉस तो सबको सेम टाइम पे दे, वो तो नया आया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, फिर भी कोई जाके एकदम ऐसे करीब हो जाता है. सो दैट्स द सेकंड थिंग. द थर्ड थिंग आई थिंक, एज फार एज एचआर कॉम्पिटेंसीज आर कंसर्न्ड, it is a given that you have to be amazing at your job. मतलब वो नहीं है तो आपके पास पासपोर्ट नहीं है, आप ट्रैवल कर नहीं सकते. That is a given. in today's world of a skill economy, if you do not have skills, तो भाई साहब तो तकलीफ है, मतलब बहुत तकलीफ, ठीक है. So you have to have a passport if you want to travel internationally. हाँ, आप डोमेस्टिकली ट्रैवल कर सकते हो बिना पासपोर्ट के, आधार कार्ड पे ट्रैवल कर सकते हो, बट देन यू विल बी लिमिटेड to only that domestic influence as a leader. If you want international influence as a leader beyond your team, and here I'm saying beyond your team becomes international, or beyond your function, or in the larger organization, or in the larger fraternity that you belong to, whether you're a finance professional, marketing person, HR person, operations, supply chain, whatever. If you want influence to be at your weapon, in the larger scheme of things, you have to travel international, you need a passport. Now, if capability is a given and the skill you already have, then the challenge for HR people is, how is it that you are able to influence leaders to do the right thing? देखो, बिजनेस लीडर भी पागल नहीं है ना, वो कुछ कर रहा है जो आपको लग रहा है कि यार ये तो गलत है, मेरे को ये रोकना है. तो how is it that, as you rightly said, many a times आपने कहा कि CEO asks HR, gives instructions and HR is not able to do it. मेरे को ये बात ही बहुत खराब लगती है, that why would someone give instructions to somebody? The vision needs to be co-created. The mandate needs to emerge from a business mandate to a talent mandate. And then the HR person needs to deliver on that mandate. Today, it is very easy for a business leader because the goals are very tangible.
Yeah.
Saying we have to grow the business by 20% CAGR. Or in this region, we need to be number one. Or in this region, our market share needs to be 60% by next year. बहुत simple है sir. बाकी आप आगे पीछे कुछ भी efforts, results will talk on the leaderboard. Whereas in HR, apart from one or two sub-functions of HR which are very tangible, most of the aspects we do not tangibilize. And since we do not tangibilize in our goals or our OKRs, it becomes very fuzzy. And when it becomes very fuzzy, it is all about feeling. यार मेरी chemistry ना पंकज जी के साथ बड़ी अच्छी है. So Pankaj is a very good HR leader. Pankaj may be delivering all your KPIs. Every metric he may be hitting the ball out of the park. But मेरे को पंकज की शक्ल अच्छी नहीं लगती. तो मैं क्या करूंगा? मैं कहीं ना कहीं नुक्ती चीनियां निकालूंगा, मैं कहीं ना कहीं गलतियां निकालूंगा. जो छोटी छोटी चीज है, अगर मेरे को माफ करनी भी है कोई नॉर्मल इंसान के साथ या इग्नोर करना है, I will blow it out of proportion with Pankaj to say, Pankaj, at your level of seniority, how could this have been overlooked? This is absolutely not acceptable. And Pankaj will walk away from that meeting saying, ये साहिल कैसा CEO है यार? He is focusing on something so insignificant. मतलब इसकी बात ही नहीं है, इसकी बात बनती ही नहीं है. But Pankaj is missing the point. It is not about that small error. It is about the chemistry that is missing. And certain cases where people make huge mistakes, but the leader will come and the leader will stand in front saying, I take responsibility. और आपको लगता है यार ये बंदे के लिए तो ये लीडर खड़ा हो गया, CEO खड़ा हो गया, जाके प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है, and he's leading from the front or she is leading from the front to say, I take responsibility. ऐसा क्या है? Chemistry. So I think as long as capability works, the fourth C is also chemistry.
Chemistry. I don't know. It means how many organizations the same scenario what you really spoke about very nicely, explained very nicely is going on, and people management and their mindset management, their anger management, so many things really comes here. When it comes to the overall thing at the end of the year for the appraisal, right? The most important thing people are looking for, for some increment, promotion, and other thing. I believe, I don't know whether I may be wrong also, a lot of decisions are taken beyond the fulfillment of the KRA. When it comes to beyond the fulfillment of the KRA, two people with the same KRA, same fulfillment of the things with the same position, the decision will be taken towards the person who was very good in terms of people management and influencing the authorities and the people there, and which has, it's a maybe a culture or maybe the leader oriented issues, but many organizations are run through kind of these kind of nuances. How can we, as an HR, I don't know whether I am asking that right question or not, but I am also thinking whether it's a vulnerable question. How can HR, stand out there, where should not be the biasness in the minds of the people? What are the few, the directives and the measures will help them in this kind of scenario?
Sure. I think three things again are very important. And I'm thinking out loud as you're asking this question, because as you know, this is absolutely unscripted and we are just having a great conversation. So I am trying to go back on my experiences and borrow some kind of insights from there, right? I think the first thing is that nobody wants a moral police or nobody wants someone to tell you ye sahi hai, ye galat hai, right? So can we change the narrative to typically say, how about we think about this? Or how about considering this? The smart leaders will definitely know that you're trying to say that point number one is not correct. Let's do point number two. But it lands beautifully on the ear. सुनने में काफी अच्छा लगता है, right? And these many may say these are just semantics, but I have seen this work beautifully. When two people are saying the same thing, one person will say, this is absolutely wrong. How can we even waste time on this? And the other person would say, I think this is a nice idea, though he does not mean it's a nice idea, but you start off saying, I think this is a nice idea. तो वो बंदे का सामने वाले का ईगो नहीं आ जाता है बीच में, या अहंकार नहीं आ जाता है बीच में, या गुस्सा नहीं आता है. उसने सुन लिया nice idea. So the person is listening to you. As compared to the first situation where you say this is rubbish. Because the moment you say this is rubbish, my fight or flight response is going to kick in, right? I'm going to kick in to say, "Arey, उसने मेरा idea को rubbish कैसे बोला?" And some people who have a huge ego will say, "उसने मुझे rubbish कैसे बोला?" वो आपको rubbish नहीं बोल रहा है, ना ही वो idea को rubbish बोल रहा है. वो बोल रहा है कि इस situation में ये applicable नहीं है, but आपके ईगो की वजह से आपने उसको इतना larger than life बना दी है कि आपको लगा कि यार ये मुझे rubbish बोल रहा है. So the smart people will say, this is a very good idea. But you know what? I was just thinking, let us also look at if we do this calculation this way, how would the numbers look like? And जब आप वो calculation करोगे, आपको दिखेगा the other idea is 40% more beneficial because the data is talking, you are not talking. So I think the ability of HR to come in and influence certain decisions through the application of psychology, which is working on the mind, and empirical data is very important. I think that's the first thing that I have. Yes, Pankaj, are you on videos, please?
Interesting. So much. I'm just having the multiple thoughts at this point of time. We are talking and navigating this discussion towards a lot of behavioral things, a lot of things based upon the competencies, and a lot of humanistic approach in terms of the business and the HR. What are the few expectations are the business expectation, and how can really HR become a real partner in solving the problem, people related problem for the organization and helping the business to achieve? So here, this is the question, and I have two more questions to ask, which I am keeping as a reserve after this.
Sure. And I'll quickly answer this one. I know we're conscious of time as well. So the first one, Pankaj ji, is very straightforward. You have to be absolutely amazing at your job. And I'll give you both sides. Let's pick up small function by function, right? Today, a business leader has gone and won a large contract or a large assignment, okay? And now he needs people to deliver this. So he's immediately going to call up the head of HR or head of talent acquisition, depending on the size of the organization, saying, hey, you know what? I need 200 people by tomorrow. अभी ये बोलने वाली बात होती है, right? Tomorrow means as soon as possible. Now, a person who has done talent acquisition for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, whatever may be your experience, If you've been in that industry for so long, if you understand the new business that has been won, if your business leader has told you about this not after winning, but 2 months earlier when the RFP came or when the bidding started, saying, hey, you know what? I am working on this. We have very good capability as an organization. We may win it. A smart head of HR or a smart head of TA will start building a pipeline. कि अगर जीत गए तो मुझे पता है मेरे को 200 लोग हायर करने हैं. Many a times business leaders keep HR in the dark. You are actually giving a great runway to HR for 2 months to build a pipeline because there's a probability you can win. The HR person can start having cold calls, speak to people, build a strong pipeline. But आप बता नहीं रहे हो उनको. So then there is no partnership. First point. Second point, if you tell at the last minute, and yet even if there is no partnership, but the TA guy is so good at his or her work because there are people who they know from the industry who are on speed dial, right? मेरे को क्या करना है मेरे को बस 15-20 लोग को फोन करने हैं that we are ramping up, we got a new business, a new work, amazing organization, line up interviews, and imagine in 5 working days if you're able to close those 200 positions, the business leader will be most happy because the person is saying, wow, I won this work, I've got the people, I'm going to train them, I'm going to deliver, I have a good margin for this year. Versus, एक हफ्ता हो गया और आपने एक भी CV भेजा नहीं. हाँ, हम ढूंढ रहे हैं, हमने कंसल्टेंट से बात किया है, प्रोफाइल्स आ रहे हैं, आई एम लुकिंग इनटू इट. Then what you end up doing is you talk a lot of English. काम हो नहीं रहा है, बट आपने वो ड्रामा चालू कर लिया कि हाँ मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, ट्राई कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं. And then the business leader will then delegate it to somebody to say, please set up cadence calls. Every week, I want to know what is happening. I want to see the progress because if I don't get the people, I will not be able to deliver. First aspect as far as recruitment is concerned. Second aspect is after I get these people, learning and development needs to kick in. Now, as L&D, do I even understand who are these people? What are their skill sets? What work I want them to do? Are they plug and play? Should I buy at a premium because they are plug and play, or should I actually pay lesser on someone who is 70% there and within 2 weeks I will upskill them to 90% and I take guarantee that when they hit the job running, they will operate at 90%. And I have measurement criterias that will tell you that the person was 70, now the person is 90. अगर आप ऐसे एनालिसिस के साथ जाओगे बिजनेस हेड के पास तो उनको एक सेंस ऑफ कंफर्ट मिल जाता है that I am in safe hands. But if you don't do this, the person is always worried. Yaar, imagine the head of business is not able to take a decision that should I get someone at 90% of operating efficiency and pay a premium of 30%, or is it more economical as a cost benefit analysis to get someone with 70% efficiency but not pay that 30% premium? अब आप उनको help ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो on a people related matter, how will they expect you to be their partner? They will not expect you, right? So I think that is very important in terms of analytical skills, in the ability to be amazing at your job, whatever your function may be, L&D, talent acquisition, talent management, जो भी आपका function है. And third and most important is proactive communication. When you know and you're in the person's chair or in their shoes, you know कि इस बंदे को इस कारण की वजह से रात को नींद नहीं आ रही. Based on your capability, how can you ensure that they at least get 2 hours of sleep, saying, as far as this request is concerned, don't worry, you've given it to me, it will be taken care of. If I get stuck somewhere as my senior, I will come to you for help. Or if I am in a difficult situation, I will red flag. But I will not go incognito. Because if I go incognito, then you are getting more worried यार कि यार ये तो कर ही नहीं रहा है, कोई movement हो नहीं रहा है, मैं अटक गया. And then you will obviously, because you have to deliver, you will then tell your team, business leaders to go on LinkedIn, to do posts, to hire people. You will reach out to consultants yourself. You will try and activate your natural market because आपको जिस पे भरोसा था वो खरा उतर ही नहीं रहा है आपके भरोसे पे। तो आपको तो धंधा चलाना ही है, तो आप एक ऑल्टरनेट मैकेनिज्म ढूंढोगे। मगर अगर आपको पता है कि सामने वाला करके देगा, शानदार करके देगा, you will use your limited time. All of us have 24 hours in a day. You will use your limited time to focus on other core priorities rather than focusing on someone else's priority which they are not able to deliver. That's my answer, Pankaj.
Lovely. Great insights. A few things what HR should not do.
Oh, that's a brilliant question. I think it's not just for HR. I think it's for anybody else. And I'm going to be slightly colloquial here, so pardon my language. But I think किसी को भी ना उंगली नहीं करनी चाहिए। लोगों को बहुत आदत है ऐसे उंगली करने की, मैंने देखा हुआ है। या तो उनके पास काम नहीं है तो दूसरे लोगों के काम में उंगली करते हैं, या उनको मजा आता है उंगली करने में, या उनको वो स्टर करना है इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ दे कैन इंटरफियर इन अदर पीपल्स बिजनेस। आई थिंक बी अमेजिंग एट व्हाट यू डू, at best help somebody. If you cannot help somebody, just do what you have to do. But interfering in other people's business or poking your nose, like they call it, is something I think, forget HR, nobody should do. One. Second is, we've learned this during COVID times a lot, that there could be insane amount of pressure. Today, an analyst is earning 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, right? But a CXO is earning 1, 2, 3 crores. There is a reason for this delta. If you are going to take all the pressure and pass it on to that junior most employee, तो फिर तो आप shock absorber बने नहीं ना. Today, the difference between a 10 lakh car and a 3 crore car is amazing shock absorbers. When you sit in a 3 crore car, आपको गड्ढे लगते नहीं हैं. You don't feel the bumps on the road. Speed breaker एकदम smooth लगता है. But 10 लाख की गाड़ी में आपको लग रहा है कि गाड़ी अभी धस रही है. You're getting into the pothole. As leaders, we need to be shock absorbers. Communicating to the team that it is a distress situation or a difficult situation is important, because otherwise they will not know the seriousness. But at the same time, passing on all the stress, all the pressure, being disrespectful, getting arrogant, using abusive language and disrespect is not what a leader should do. They need to be shock absorbers to absorb the shock, absorb the pressure, at the same time be more effective to delegate and to work as a team to achieve output. So I think that is very important. And that is something that not just HR people, but everybody as a leader should be a great shock absorber.
Very nice. A business expect HR to do everything. Rangoli karana ho, dance karana ho, birthday celebration ho, employee R&R ho, everything. I attended, one of the panel discussion where someone asked me a question. सर समझ में नहीं आता हम लोग HR में काम कर रहे हैं या हम लोग ये डांस ड्रामा कंपनी में काम कर रहे हैं। बोले इतने सारे इवेंट होते हैं, आपको गाना भी गाना पड़ता है, पीपल को, लोगों को एंटरटेन भी करना होता है. So I understand, the person coming from where, the kind of pain areas are there. How to say no in this entire, the gamut of, this game of making people happy in the corporate and, becoming their, the yes buddy.
So I think you've asked 4 or 5 questions in one question. Let me try and break it down and ask. I think first, very clearly, is defining boundaries is very important. Second is communicating those boundaries are very important. And third, when anyone crosses those boundaries, your response is very important. मेरे को ये लगता है ये तीनों कैटेगरी में कहीं ना कहीं अगर आप फेल हो जाओ or you are not successful, that is when you will find it difficult to say no. So which means if you say no for everything, people will not want to work with you. कि यार इसके पास ना काम करना बड़ा मुश्किल है, बहुत टैलेंटेड है, बट इससे काम निकलवाना बहुत मुश्किल है. ये तो बड़ा वीकेंड पे काम नहीं करता, अभी 6 बजे के बाद नहीं है, मेरा अगला 3 हफ्ते कैलेंडर ब्लॉक है, आई एम नॉट अवेलेबल. इसका काम करना मुश्किल है. So you can't be that other extreme where you're always saying no. At the other end, if you're always saying yes, You will think Pareto's principle. I am doing 80% of the work. I am everywhere. When it comes to increment, वही 20% मिलता है मेरे को क्या फायदा, right? So you need to, number one, know where you are setting your own boundaries. What is acceptable? What is not acceptable? The second is people who I work with. Do they understand? Are they aware of what are Sahil's boundaries? Saying this is acceptable with Sahil, this is not acceptable. Strike one, strike two, strike three. Enough. तीन बारी भरोसा कर लिया, तीनों बारी आपने भरोसा तोड़ा. Now this is the boundary that Sahil has. This as an example. And the third, after strike three happens, that is when I should not tell people what will happen. Right in the beginning, they should know that after strike three, this is the consequence. If they are aware of that, then it is a very conscious attempt for you to tell them, listen, please don't do this because this will have consequences. फिर भी चलो लेट्स से नादानी में बचपना में गलती हो गया स्ट्राइक वन, दूसरी बारी आपने किया, आई स्टिल केम एंड टोल्ड यू बड़ी, you've done it once, this is the second time it's happening, it's strike two. After strike three, there is no coming back. Yet the person does strike three. Now the person knows the consequence. कि अभी ये effect में आने वाला है. Now the consequence is going to kick in. Because you have communicated this consequence right in the beginning before strike one happened. So I think this is very important. When you do this, people will find it less difficult to say no. When you've drawn boundaries to say, as HR, I'm not saying song and dance is bad, but I'm saying this is not my capability. It's not my forte. Maybe we need to have an event manager. Maybe we need to have a separate team that focuses on this. Maybe we have to have a team, that works very closely with admin, with their support and their expertise of the venue and the logistics and event organizers to do it. But it's not my forte. So I've drawn that boundary. I've communicated that boundary. And then I take it forward from there. So that's my answer, Pankaj.
Yeah. Very nice. Interesting. One more last question. What is the learning repository you would like to recommend to anyone, maybe from the student of HR or maybe the people, those who are already having the position in the corporates?
So there was a time when I was a very voracious reader. मुझे लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के नए नए अराइवल्स बुक्स पढ़ना बहुत अच्छा लगता था. देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन आई जंप्ड ऑन टू किंडल और मेरे को ई बुक्स पढ़ना बहुत अच्छा लगता था. बट टुडे आई वुड से दैट वी आर ऑल लिविंग इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ पॉडकास्टिंग एंड आई थिंक ऑडियो बुक्स और पॉडकास्ट आर वेरी गुड. पिक अप योर जॉनर, जो आपको अच्छा लगता है. One, you need to break it up into what is fun for you. One, what is learning for you, and third, what is challenging for you, right? So कभी कभी जब मेरा मन करता है, I really like some podcast, let's say Adam Grant, right? I would listen to that just for fun. क्योंकि मैंने वो सुना हुआ है 5 साल पहले, 10 साल पहले. बट जब मैं वो फिर से 3, 4, 10, 15 बारी लूप पे सुनता हूँ, मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. So it is fun for me. If I have discussed with you, Pankaj ji, something that you've taught me new, it is a learning for me. So I will want to listen to it very attentively, not when I'm on the treadmill doing my workout, but when I'm very relaxed, I'm listening to my podcast and I'm making notes because that's the best way to learn. That's the learning format of what I would do. And the third is the challenging one, where मुझे समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, मुझे पल्ले ही नहीं पड़ रहा. I don't understand quantum physics, but I think quantum physics is something I'm interested in. तब उसको समझने में उनके नॉमेनक्लेचर, उनकी वोकैबुलरी, जो वो यूजेज ऑफ वर्ड्स है, वो मेरे को अलग अलग लगेगा. क्योंकि मेरे को ना नेचुरल, मैं हर दिन क्वांटम फिजिक्स के बारे में नहीं पढ़ता हूँ, नहीं सुनता हूँ. सो आई हैव टू पुट इन मोर एफर्ट, व्हिच इज द चैलेंजिंग जोन. फॉर दैट आई हैव टू बी एग्जैक्टली इन दैट माइंडसेट टू से नाउ जीरो डिस्ट्रैक्शंस, बिकॉज दिस इज अनफेमिलियर टेरेन. थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक गोइंग ऑन अ रोड दैट यू नेवर बीन बिफोर. कहाँ ब्लाइंड कर्व आएगा, कहाँ खाई है, कहाँ ग्रेवल है, कहाँ गाड़ी स्लिप हो सकता है, आप वो टेरेन में हो. सो इफ यू आर इन दैट टेरेन, यू विल हैव 100% फोकस्ड अटेंशन. एंड आई डोंट वांट टू बी समवन हु इज प्रिस्क्राइबिंग ऑडियो बुक्स, बिकॉज हर एक जने के लिए अलग होता है डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट. बट इफ यू कैन पिक इट अप बेसिस व्हाट इज फन फॉर यू, what is a learning opportunity for you and what is a challenging opportunity for you. For me, it is quantum physics. For you, it may be music. For someone else, it may be riding a bicycle. For someone else, it may be building a go-kart. For somebody else, it may be swimming. For someone, it may be pickleball. So हर एक इंसान के लिए अलग हो सकता है, right? But if you break it up into these three domains, you will be able to manage your attention span better, your focus better, and your end objective will be well achieved.
Very nice. Lovely. I think you added a lot of value to the podcast, and probably, the whomsoever goes through this podcast will really understand the narrative and the perspective what you have shared. And for all the HR leader, this I would recommend as a must to watch podcast, especially if they are into the domain or anyone who is working in the corporate and really wanted to become successful. Thank you so much. Would love to see more opportunities to be with you in terms of such interactions. Really, you shared a lot of insights, which I was not aware of, and I would say uh, looking forward the next, especially pertaining to the one specific domain in HR, talking and unlayering, or maybe the touching the all the granular aspect of HR.
Surely.
Thank you so much.
Happy to. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Pankaj ji.
Thank you.
Very, very
Yeah.
nice having this conversation with you.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you so much.